Most animals follow the same rules. They live where there is light. They breathe often. They avoid extreme pressure. They stay close to the surface, where life is easier. Sperm whales do the opposite. They dive into darkness so deep that sunlight has never reached it. They hold their breath longer than any other mammal on Earth. They enter pressure zones that would crush steel, and they do it every single day. Not as a stunt, not as a survival trick, as a normal part of life. And once you start looking closely, you realize something unsettling. Nothing about sperm whales is normal. Sperm whales are the deepest diving mammals ever recorded. Not occasionally, not in rare emergencies. This is how they live. A typical hunt sends a sperm whale more than 2,000 meters below the surface. Some dives go beyond 3,000 meters into a part of the ocean humans call the abyss. At that depth, sunlight has never existed. The water is near freezing, and the pressure is so intense it would crush an unprotected human instantly. Most submarines can't survive there. Sperm whales go anyway. They dive for 40 minutes to over an hour, then return to the surface calmly, breathe a few times, and disappear again. No visible stress, no recovery period, just repetition. Dive after dive, day after day. This isn't a survival response, it's routine. What makes this stranger is that sperm whales are air-breathing mammals, just like us. They don't have gills, they don't extract oxygen from water. Every dive begins with a single breath at the surface, and then nothing. No air, no light, no margin for error. At depths below 1,000 meters, the ocean becomes almost completely empty of familiar life. Fish thin out, shapes vanish, movement slows, but sperm whales don't turn back. They continue descending into a vertical world that stretches miles downward. Why? Because that's where their prey lives. Giant squid, deep-sea squid, animals that never rise to the surface and never experience daylight. Entire ecosystems that exist only in darkness. To reach them, sperm whales must cross pressure zones that would collapse lungs, rupture blood vessels, and cause fatal nitrogen buildup in any human diver. They don't just survive those conditions, they've made them normal. When scientists first realized how deep sperm whales dive, many assumed the measurements were wrong. The numbers didn't make sense for a mammal. The depths were beyond what biology was supposed to allow. But the data kept coming back the same. Sperm whales weren't pushing their limits. They were operating exactly where they were designed to be. And once you understand that, the ocean stops feeling like an open space and starts feeling vertical. At extreme depths, the ocean doesn't forgive mistakes. Pressure increases fast. Gas behaves differently. The human body fails in minutes. So sperm whales don't try to resist the deep, they redesign themselves for it. When a sperm whale dives, its lungs don't fight the pressure. They do something that seems wrong at first. They collapse. Air is pushed out of the lungs and away from the bloodstream, preventing nitrogen from dissolving into the blood. This avoids the deadly condition known as decompression sickness, the bends that cripples human divers. What would kill us is simply removed from the equation. Their ribs don't break under pressure either. They bend. Flexible rib bones fold inward as the chest compresses, allowing the body to shrink safely as the water presses in. No rigid cage, no resistance, just controlled collapse. Oxygen is handled differently too. Most mammals rely on their lungs to store air. Sperm whales don't. Instead, they store oxygen throughout their body. Their blood carries unusually high levels of hemoglobin, binding oxygen more efficiently. But the real difference is in their muscles. Sperm whale muscles are packed with a protein called myoglobin, which stores oxygen directly inside muscle tissue, so much of it that their flesh appears almost black. This means that even when there's no air in their lungs, their muscles continue working on stored oxygen. They're not holding their breath, they're running on reserves. As the dive continues, the whale's heart slows dramatically. At the surface, it may beat around 60 times per minute. During a deep dive, it drops to around 10 beats per minute. Blood flow is rerouted almost exclusively to the brain, and essential muscles, organs that aren't immediately needed, go quiet. This isn't panic, it's precision. The sperm whale enters a controlled low-power state, conserving energy while operating in conditions that would destroy nearly any other mammal. No oxygen alarms, no struggle, no urgency, just efficiency. Every part of this body, lungs, ribs, blood, muscles, heart, works together as a single system designed for pressure, darkness, and time without air. From the outside, A sperm whale looks like a simple animal. From the inside, it's a machine built for a place where machines fail. And the deeper it goes, the more obvious that becomes. In the deep ocean, sight is useless. There is no sunlight, no shadows, no reference points. Below a certain depth, even the idea of looking stops making sense. So sperm whales don't rely on vision, they rely on sound. Sperm whales produce the loudest biological sound ever recorded on Earth. Their clicks can reach around 230 decibels, making them far more powerful than a jet engine at takeoff. But volume isn't the point. These clicks are tools. Sound is generated deep inside the whale's head and travels forward through a massive oil-filled structure called the spermaceti organ. This organ focuses the sound, shaping it into a tight, forward-facing beam. Each click shoots out into the darkness, hits objects in the environment, and returns as an echo. From those echoes, the whale constructs a detailed three-dimensional map of what's around it. Not just location, size, shape, movement, distance. In total darkness, the whale can distinguish prey from background, detect motion, and track targets that it cannot see in any visual sense. It's not hearing, it's imaging. Some divers who have been close to sperm whales describe the clicks as feeling physical, like pressure passing through the chest. The sound doesn't just reach your ears, it reaches your body. And when a sperm whale hunts, the clicks change. They start slow and spaced apart, scanning wide areas. Then they accelerate, becoming rapid and focused as the whale locks onto a target. The clicks aren't random, they're deliberate. Each one refines the image. Each echo sharpens the picture. What's unsettling is what this means in practice. A sperm whale can detect objects in complete darkness from hundreds of meters away. It can read the internal structure of prey. It can track movement without light, without sight, and without error. In the deep ocean, where vision fails entirely, sperm whales don't stumble through the dark. They illuminate it with sound. And sometimes, what they reveal is something massive, moving, and very much alive. For centuries, sailors told stories about monsters in the deep, creatures with arms longer than ships, beasts that rose from the abyss and vanished again. Legends that sounded exaggerated, even ridiculous. For a long time, science dismissed them. Then researchers started looking closely at sperm whales. When scientists examined their bodies, they noticed something strange. Scars, not random marks. Not damage from rocks or parasites. Perfect circles. Some were small, others were nearly a foot across. Many were ringed with smaller cuts, like teeth marks, and embedded in the skin were sharp, curved hooks. These scars weren't ancient fossils, they were fresh. The pattern was unmistakable: suction cups and hooks. The only animal capable of leaving wounds like that is the giant squid, the largest invertebrate on Earth. An animal that lives in deep water, avoids the surface, and is almost never seen alive by humans. We didn't discover giant squid by watching them swim. We discovered them by reading the damage left on sperm whales. The implication was disturbing. If sperm whales carried scars like this, then violent encounters were happening far below the surface, in total darkness between animals of enormous size and strength. Battles no one had ever witnessed. And those scars tell us something else. Giant squid don't hunt sperm whales. They defend themselves, which means sperm whales hunt them. In the dark, using sound. A sperm whale descends thousands of meters, scans the void with focused clicks, and locks onto a moving target with arms longer than a bus, lined with powerful suckers and razor-sharp hooks. What follows isn't a chase we understand. It's a close-range struggle in complete darkness, where both animals rely on strength, reflex, and contact. We've never filmed it. We've never seen it begin or end. All we know is that sperm whales survive, and they come back marked. These scars aren't symbols of weakness. They're proof. Proof that the deep ocean isn't empty. Proof that massive predators meet and collide below the limits of human access. Proof that some of the most dramatic conflicts on Earth happen where no light has ever existed. The ocean didn't invent monsters. It hid them. Sperm whales have the largest brain of any animal that has ever lived. On average, it weighs around 9 kilograms, roughly 6 times heavier than a human brain. But size alone doesn't explain much. Intelligence isn't just about volume. It's about structure, about what the brain evolved to do. And the sperm whale brain evolved for a world without light. Large regions of its brain are dedicated to processing sound. Not simple hearing, but complex acoustic information. echoes arriving from different angles, distances, and speeds. In the deep ocean, sound replaces vision. Every click sent out returns with information, and the brain has to interpret that flood of data in real time, building a moving three-dimensional model of the environment. That requires enormous processing power. The sperm whale brain is also highly folded, increasing surface area and neural connections. More folds mean more room for complex processing. But perhaps the most interesting part isn't the size or shape, it's the social wiring. Sperm whales have brain structures associated with long-term memory, emotional regulation, and social bonding. The same general systems that, in humans, support empathy, cooperation, and learning. This matters because sperm whales don't live alone. They live in long-lasting social groups. They recognize individuals. They remember relationships. In the dark, where vision can't help you recognize a face, memory becomes essential. You don't see who's with you. You remember them, and that kind of memory changes how a mind evolves. This brain wasn't shaped for speed or reflex alone. It was shaped for navigation through space, time, and social networks, all without sight. It's a brain built to hold maps of the ocean, histories of movement, and relationships that last decades. We still don't know exactly how sperm whales experience the world, but we know this. Their intelligence didn't evolve to dominate land, build tools, or manipulate objects. It evolved to survive and think in a place where almost nothing else can do this. In darkness, under pressure, guided by sound and memory. Which makes one thing clear: this isn't a simple animal adapted to the deep, it's a mind shaped by it. For a long time, scientists assumed sperm whale sounds were simple, clicks used for hunting, signals with no real structure. That assumption didn't last. Researchers began noticing patterns in sperm whale clicks, short, rhythmic sequences repeated in consistent ways. These patterns became known as codas. At first, they seemed basic. Then the details emerged. Different groups of sperm whales use different codas. Whales in one part of the world click differently than whales thousands of miles away. Even more surprising, neighboring groups can sound distinct from each other. These differences aren't caused by genetics. They're learned. Sperm whale calves are not born knowing their group's codas. They have to learn them by listening to adults. They practice, they repeat, they adjust until they match the patterns of their family. That's not instinct. That's teaching. It means sperm whales pass information from one generation to the next through sound alone. No writing, no tools, no visual cues, just memory and imitation. Some codas appear to identify individuals. Others may signal group identity, coordination, or social bonding. Scientists still don't know what each pattern means, but they do know the structure is deliberate. This has led researchers to describe sperm whale communication as cultural, not just biological. Culture doesn't require art or language as humans define it. It requires learned behavior shared within a group and passed down over time. By that definition, sperm whales qualify. They carry traditions in sound. In a world without landmarks or light, sound becomes history. Every click pattern connects a whale to its family, its group, and its past. Long before humans recorded language, sperm whales were already teaching their young how to speak in the only medium the deep ocean allows. Sperm whales don't live as individuals. They live in families. These families are stable, long-lasting groups, often made up of mothers, calves, and related females. At the center of each group is an older female, the matriarch. She doesn't lead through force. She leads through memory. Sperm whale matriarchs remember migration routes that stretch across entire ocean basins. These routes aren't random. They connect deep feeding grounds, warm water nurseries, and safe regions where calves can grow with less risk. Calves don't discover these paths on their own. They're taught. Young whales follow their mothers and grandmothers for years, learning where to go, when to dive, and where food can be found. This knowledge is accumulated over decades, sometimes over a lifetime that can exceed 70 years. In the open ocean, there are no landmarks, no coastlines, no mountains, no visual markers. Navigation depends on experience. Memory replaces maps. And that memory doesn't belong to a single whale, it belongs to the group. When a matriarch dies, the family loses more than a member. It loses information, knowledge that may not exist anywhere else. This makes sperm whale families unusually resilient, but also unusually vulnerable. Disrupting one group doesn't just remove animals, it erases learned routes, behaviors, and survival strategies. These families don't wander aimlessly through the ocean, They follow paths shaped by generations before them. Paths that existed long before modern shipping lanes, sonar, or engines filled the sea. In a world of constant movement and few reference points, sperm whales survive by remembering where they've been and by passing that memory on. They don't navigate the ocean, they inherit it. For most of history, sperm whales were seen as passengers in the ocean, large, powerful, impressive, but passive. That view is wrong. Sperm whales don't just move through the ocean, they actively change it. Every deep dive takes them thousands of meters below the surface, into waters where sunlight never reaches. Down there, nutrients like iron accumulate, trapped in the deep. When sperm whales return to the surface to breathe, they bring those nutrients back up with them, and that matters. Near the surface, sunlight fuels microscopic life called plankton. Plankton form the base of the ocean food chain. Fish depend on them. Larger animals depend on the fish. And plankton do something else. They absorb enormous amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and release oxygen. By redistributing nutrients, sperm whales help plankton grow. That means more carbon capture, more oxygen production, and healthier marine ecosystems. In simple terms, sperm whales fertilize the ocean. One whale may influence productivity across huge areas of sea. Entire pods can shape regional ecosystems without ever being noticed. Even in death, their impact continues. When a sperm whale dies, its body sinks to the seafloor in an event known as a whale fall. In the deep ocean, food is scarce. A single whale carcass can feed entire communities of animals for decades. Crabs, worms, fish, and bacteria gather, forming a complex ecosystem around the remains. Life builds on death. This is one of the largest transfers of energy in the natural world, a single animal sustaining life in total darkness for generations. Sperm whales aren't just predators. They're engineers. They connect the deep ocean to the surface. They link life, death, carbon, and oxygen in ways that quietly shape the planet. They don't dominate the ocean. They support it. For most of human history, sperm whales were strangers. They lived too far offshore. They stayed underwater too long. They surfaced briefly, then vanished again. We didn't observe them. We glimpsed them. And when humans lack information, imagination fills the gaps. Early sailors described massive heads rising from fog, explosive breaths that sounded like cannons, loud knocking noises coming from beneath ships in the open ocean. Without context, it felt threatening. Stories spread, monsters formed, fear hardened into myth. By the time humans began studying sperm whales, scientifically, much of that fear was already embedded in culture. And science arrived late. Sperm whales spend most of their lives in places humans cannot reach. Even today, we rely on sound recordings, satellite tags, and brief surface observations. We don't watch their hunts. We don't witness their deep interactions. We infer behavior from scars, patterns, and echoes. This distance shaped misunderstanding. When whaling began, sperm whales were reduced to what could be taken from them: oil, fuel, profit. Their intelligence, social bonds, and ecological role were invisible from the deck of a ship. Killing was easier than understanding. Only later did the full picture begin to emerge. Complex families, learned communication, memory-based navigation, and bodies engineered for the most extreme environment on Earth. By then, the damage had already been done. Even now, we're still correcting old assumptions. We once thought they were solitary. They're social. We thought their sounds were noise. They're structured. We thought they were just hunters. They're ecosystem builders. The problem was never that sperm whales were unknowable. It was that they lived beyond our reach. And for a long time, we judged them from the surface. Even now, sperm whales remain partly out of reach. We know how deep they dive. We know how their bodies survive pressure. We know they communicate, remember, and teach. But we still don't fully understand what it's like to be one. We don't know how much information their clicks carry. We don't know how they experience time during long dives. We don't know what a three-dimensional world of sound truly feels like. Most of their lives still happen in darkness. And yet, what we do know is enough to change how we see them. Sperm whales aren't accidents of evolution. They aren't oversized predators wandering the deep. They are specialists. Mammals that rewrote biological rules to live where mammals shouldn't survive. Minds shaped by pressure and silence. Families guided by memory rather than landmarks. They've been doing this for millions of years, quietly, long before humans crossed oceans. Long before engines, sonar, or satellites filled the sea. They adapted to an extreme world without trying to dominate it. They learned how to exist within it. And that may be the most unusual thing about them. As we study sperm whales, we aren't just learning about an animal. We're learning how life can organize itself in ways we never imagined, how intelligence can evolve without sight, how culture can exist without language as we know it, and how influence doesn't always require visibility. There is an intelligent giant beneath the surface of the ocean. It breaks rules every day, lives where we can't follow, and continues on, largely unnoticed. Nothing about sperm whales is normal, and the deeper we look, the more that becomes clear. We live in a very interesting world, waiting to be discovered. Subscribe to learn more.